Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Asia Pickleball Insider. I am your host, Migo Claudio, and I am with, of course, he doesn't have the one and only this week. We have Rob Nunnery, and now
Just the
the
one.
real one and only, James
Hey,
Ignatowich.
screw you. Screw you, Migo.
No, look, you
I
have the
agree.
title every week James
Thank
isn't
you, Migo.
here. You have the title every week James isn't here. But when James hops on, he takes the one and only from you. So you can blame
Okay.
him.
All right.
Okay.
Fine.
I like it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Migo.
So,
Thank you for the introduction.
so this week's episode is going to be a quick one. We're going to be touching on a bit of PCL talk with, of course, the paddle partner of PCL, RPM. We're going to be talking about some differences that these two pros have seen in the Asian pickleball scene with the US, some good, some bad, some things the Asian pros can learn, some things the US pros can learn, and just chatting about other stuff. So feel free if you guys want to start us
Well, I feel
off.
like James is an Asia Pickleball Insider now. He's in South Florida clearing out his spot just to go straight back to Shenzhen. So he's also a fellow Asian brother now.
I am the definition. I'm about as Asian as it gets, as far as people that are not Asian. Yeah, this is my apartment now. Not much here. I'm getting ready to move officially to Shenzhen, China. My co-founder's already there full time. So my co-founder is there pretty much 11 months out of the year, basically. And I'm gonna be spending most of my time there. Yeah, China's my favorite spot. Actually, maybe second only to the Philippines.
Yeah, well said.
Mhm.
Tell us about your co-founder. How did you guys link up? Just all of that of, why do you have one? How did you find them? And what's it add to the business that you can't provide?
Yeah, well, he's been a great friend of mine since I was 12 years old. So we've known each other for so long. We used to always talk about paddles. We would talk about, I remember I was using Selkirk and we would always just we would touch on the phone every few days. And I was just like, man, I really hate this paddle. Like, I don't know what to do. And this was back when I used Power Air. So this was when the only
Yeah.
Selkirk paddle available was the Power Air. And keep in mind for you guys at home, I was, when I signed with Selkirk, I signed and they gave me an 002. This was a Selkirk 002. This was one of the best paddles at the time. And this was back in 2022. And then, I used the 002 for a year. I was having good results. I loved the 002. Other paddles started to get better, other paddles started to catch up. Yola came into the game. They started making better paddles. Paddle Tech came out with a good carbon fiber paddle. And then Selkirk paddles, my 002 started getting a little less gritty. They started to get a little, afraid of the rules, I guess, because they lost their relationship with the UPA and whatever. So then they had to kind of tread lightly. And then the 002 was out of the game. And I was using a Power Air that came out in 2021. So next thing you know, I'm using a paddle that came out in 2021 that was like an average paddle when it came out in 2024. And it was just, I was like, look, man, I need to find a solution because I tried to talk to Selkirk. I guess weren't really interested in making a paddle that was good for advanced play at the time. They've since made, the boomstick is pretty good, but at the time they were like, look, I don't really want to make an advanced paddle. And I'm like, well, that's inconvenient for an advanced player, right, Migo? That sounds pretty. So I'm like, okay, this has got to change. So I talk to my co-founder all the time. Look, man, let's make a good paddle. Let's do whatever we can. So we started studying paddles just in my free time. I had a lot of free time. I was single, obviously. Anna and I broke up. I was like, what do I do? I'm done talking to girls. I'll just focus on paddle. So that was kind of my focus shift. I went from girls to paddles, and then I just went all in. And I put up most of the funds. I'm the majority owner of the company, but then I needed a guy to help me out with, just having somebody you can trust as a co-founder is key. Having somebody that's a good friend of yours, you've known him for 10 years. He was working in investment banking at the time, so he's really good with finances. He's a very smart guy. And just having somebody that's really smart that you can trust is a game changer. And that's mainly, why I chose him.
Nice. And what would you say that, obviously from the playing perspective, you have that insight? Are you like a geek around paddle specs and materials and stuff like that? Or are you more of just doing that out of necessity?
I'm a complete geek over it. I'm the lead engineer of all the paddles that have been made. We've got, 4 paddles coming out this year. I've opened up every paddle with my bare hands. Like I could tell you anything about any paddle, like the thickness of the foam ring of any paddle, the literal most minute details possible, because that's just kind of the type of guy I am. I'm not sure if I'm maybe, on the spectrum a little bit or something, but
Yeah,
I've been
you are.
accused.
You are.
Yeah,
You
I've been
are.
accused of that. Yeah, so But yeah, so that it comes into my advantage sometimes in the paddle game.
So, with you staying in Shenzhen now, how much of, as a paddle company, how much of an advantage is it for your lead engineer, face of the company, majority stakeholder, to be that involved in terms of paddle development? How much of advantage would you say that gives you over, other paddle brands?
I think it's a big advantage because I'm the one that's testing the paddles and playing with them. So there's a little bit of a difference, like if one of you guys had a paddle company, but you were, a 3-5 or something, you weren't really the main tester of the paddles, then it definitely helps with quality control for you guys to be at the factory. That's great, but it doesn't necessarily help with like testing prototypes super fast and then to turning it around and then doing it again.
Dude,
Like,
and that's the challenge actually, right? With all the manufacturers being in China, unless you're on the ground there, like you can test and iterate in real time and give direct feedback immediately. And that is the challenge with anybody operating in the US working with Chinese manufacturers. You're on a 13-hour time difference from the East Coast. Just like that back and forth communication and then the iteration, it's like everything just like is spread out a little bit longer, and it's hard to make changes quickly, even if you're on top of it, just because of the time difference. So I imagine being on the ground there and being the tester, like you're going to be able to move really, really quickly.
for sure. I mean, we've got, and this Migo potentially. I know Toby knows this because we've got to deal with Toby that we're super excited about. I mean, we've got we've got a bunch of different products, at least 4 new paddles coming out this year. And it's like, if you just want to make a tiny, tiny change, you can get it done in a day. And it's funny because
Yeah.
when I was in the US, I was like, dang, it really takes, 2 weeks to get a sample turned around. It
Yeah.
actually doesn't. It's just if you're there, like if you're a factory and I'm like, hey Rob, you have that sample ready for me, buddy?
Yeah.
And then it comes back the next day. But if I'm over in the US and you're in China,
Yeah.
you're like, I don't care. And then you take a little more time. But if I'm showing up to your house, it's a different subject.
Yeah. I'm going to get it for you because you're threatening me, basically.
That's what I'm doing.
That's it. So outside of being there, obviously for the business and being able to move quickly, I think Asia Pickleball and China in particular is a little bit of a black box for people listening in the U.S. So can you give some of your insights into spending time in Shenzhen, spending time around throughout Asia, just since you have over the last few months, just so people have a bit more insight into what's going on?
Yeah, well, I think, China is going to be the biggest market. I would be very surprised if it doesn't end up being the biggest market. It's got 1.4 billion people. It's a pretty well capitalized population. The people have some money for the most
Yeah.
part, and they're disciplined. They like to play racket sports. I think just based on the law of large numbers, it's going to be the biggest market. It's not going to be the biggest market for another 5 years or 7 years, but it will be. So that's why I'm there, and that's kind of my favorite spot. We're building the foundation there. But in Asia, I
Bro,
think
250 million. This is a crazy number. 250 million badminton players, active badminton players in China.
that's
250
crazy.
million.
And is badminton even fun?
I just don't think they have any other option, so they just default to badminton. So wait till
Exactly.
they have pickleball. Yeah. Is badminton
Exactly.
even fun?
I
You're
don't. I
hitting
mean,
a shuttlecock. A shuttlecock,
yeah,
for God's sakes.
that's the most fun part about it. The name of the shuttlecock.
And people make fun of pickleball. The
Yeah,
word
come
shuttle
on.
has existed for the last half century.
I know.
It's
And
very true.
pickleball is where people draw the line.
Yeah, come
But
on.
yeah, I mean, just to answer the question, I would say like in Asia, people don't realize like RPM's already selling a lot of paddles in Vietnam and Malaysia and to some extent in the Philippines. Like people, when I was in the US, I thought, wow, there's no way that people in Asia are willing to actually pay a, somewhat premium price point for a paddle, but people actually will. Like in
It's a
Vietnam,
status symbol, bro.
yeah, and it's crazy. Like in Vietnam and Malaysia, they're doing it. And it's funny because the average, I mean, Vietnam is not super wealthy on the average, but like there's a lot of people buying RPMs in Vietnam because they love pickleball. Like I was going through security, and so this is crazy. Like there's no other country. I think per capita, pickleball's got to be more popular in Vietnam than in the U.S. Like it's actually insane.
Percentage-wise, for sure.
Oh my gosh, and
Not
like
even
and the
close.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the players are good. And so, like, it's crazy. I was going through TSA pre-check. I've got my paddles in my backpack, and they check my backpack. And it's this guy. He's this Vietnamese guy, obviously. And he checks the paddle. He looks at it. He's like, RPM? I use Yola. And I'm like, what? It's just insane. Like everybody plays pickleball in Vietnam.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. Like Vietnam is like I always compare like Vietnam and Malaysia. Like Vietnam is like they're developing, like they want to get good at pickleball. It's more of like a development training focus, and Malaysia feels a bit more. I mean, it's changing a little bit, but it feels more of like a social scene, cultural like thing, like it kind of was in the U.S. with like the celebrities playing and stuff like that. But Vietnam, man, they take their pickleball seriously.
The average player in Vietnam is like frustratingly good. Like I'm playing these 3 in pros. I'm just trying to mess around, like, just hit some trick shots. And I'm like, I gotta be focused.
I got to dial in a little bit.
Yeah. Like when I'm playing at, Pickle Yard in the Philippines against Pickle Bear,
Yeah.
I can mess around a little bit. So it's a little
Pickle
different
Bear,
situation.
Pickle Bear
Rank 2
getting put
player
on
in the country.
blast.
Rank 2 player in the country.
No, he's good. Pickle Bear, I'm just joking. Pickle Bear is good.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Yeah. So going on to that, like Asian pickleball versus US pickleball, what would you say is the biggest thing that they're doing better? And what's the biggest thing that they're not doing as good as the US players?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rob and I could both answer. I mean, from my take, I would say, the biggest gap I would think, at least at the higher levels, is serve and return. Because I think a lot of them, from what I'm seeing, like are having a tough time returning my serve, and I think that's probably because there's more of ping pong background, more of badminton background, as opposed to a tennis background. If you have a tennis background, it's probably easier to return a big serve because you're used to seeing the ball coming at that speed from pretty far away. But when I really rip a serve in Asia, it seems like they're just not used to it. And it seems like they're maybe a little bit less developed from the back, but they're better at the kitchen. And I think at the kitchen, I don't know if they're any better on average than players in the US, but they're just more developed at the kitchen. Maybe the average hand speed might actually be a little bit faster. And I think they're a little bit more, maybe a little more enthusiastic too, less loose errors, I think. Especially in Vietnam, not a lot of loose errors in Vietnam. People are missing because they're trying to hit the right shot. So, and in China, there's no loose errors. In China, it's hilarious. Like the players, so there's a few different clubs in China. Like pickleball is not that big in China, and the players aren't that good. Like the players are not good because they're just learning how to play. But we did this beat the pro thing, and I do this all the time. It's either me and my co-founder, or like if we do a clinic, it's like me and Ryan Fu. It's beat the pro. Teams will go against us. We feed the ball in, and you get 2 chances. If you win 2 points in a row, you win a free RPM. Nobody ever wins 2 points in a row because we're starting at the kitchen and it's 2 people at the baseline. And so like, they might win the first one, but that second feed's going to be tough. It's going to be a shoulder high. I'm not going to give you
Not giving away RPMs out here. Yeah.
No, I've never lost one of those ever. And like in the US, people will miss the first feed all the time. Like they're going to go for some crazy drive. They're going to miss the feed, whatever, just because they're thinking about, what they're going to do later. In China, they're not great players, but nobody misses the feed. Like it's like there was no missed feeds. Everybody's trying their best. Everybody's disciplined. So that would be my summary.
And pickleball, man, it's a game of discipline, honestly. So once China dials in and they start actually getting good, and there's a lot more players and there's real development aspects, like just having that default and like your default being discipline goes a long way in pickleball. It really does.
For sure. I mean, it's like a Rob Nunnery right side, just, not going to miss. But then when he gets the forehand speed up, he's going to pull it. That's what you need.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds terrifying. I'm just imagining right now a 5-year-old Chinese kid just training every day, hitting 200 dinks straight and getting scolded
more
by
than
his
200.
parents.
200 is not enough. Migo. 200. Come on. 200 is like what you're doing to train. That's not going to do it.
Okay, how many?
200 is going to get you to 3.75 like you are. That's not going to do it. We're talking about pros here, Migo.
Yeah, 200 dinks, that's not going to... Well, I'll say this. I think if I had to make a prediction, I think Vietnam will get better than China faster. Obviously, they're already ahead, but I think they're going to have a big advantage for longer. And this is a niche reason, but it's probably the real reason. It's because high school and middle school in China is so difficult that they just don't have time to work on pickleball unless it becomes an Olympic sport, and then there's like a government.
Yeah, I don't think that's not a hot take at all, or like, I mean, that's just it's a fact. Like unless you're training, like this academy we're opening up on Hainan Island, like they've got it's highly academic, but you also have like Olympic level training for fencing. There's junior tennis players that are playing the Grand Slams. They're still not training to the level that, somebody in Florida would be training because school is still such a priority. So I think you're absolutely right. I think that is going to be the challenge unless it becomes an Olympic sport, like you said. I think, the government at that point will put a ton of resources into it. Like if 2032 got announced, I think China would absolutely, I don't think it would take like 5 years. I think it would take like a year. Because once China says, yes, we're going,
Yep.
like it's game over. They can move fast.
That's for sure. Yep.
Yeah. How about you, Rob? You've competed around Asia a bit more. What would you say, like among the high level Asian players, is something different that they're doing, and is it working, or would you say that it's suboptimal?
Migo, what you already know my answer, Migo. What do you think my answer is here?
They don't take enough dinks out of the air.
They just play off the line too much. You know, I get women playing off the line. That's kind of where the game's at. But for guys, like, yeah, you want to have everything. You want to have Tui off the bounce for dinks. You want to have everything. You want to be able to hit every shot from every part of the court. On the forehand side, you want to have the forehand roll. You want to have a backhand roll. But you also have to be able to take dinks out of the air on the forehand and the backhand off the right side and the left side. And in Asia, what I see is, and maybe it's just because they're watching the U.S. and they're seeing guys, you know, James is the genesis of this, taking like, you know, the Tui dink, but it feels like that's turned into the default, when the default, in my opinion, should still be taking away space and time and reaching and using your length first. And if you know it's going to be too low because you recognize it right off the paddle face from your opponent, of course you want to be offensive with your dink and hit a Tui if you can and train that. But to me, the default in Asia for dinking, especially on the backhand side, is to go to, when the default should be to reach and look for a ball that you can take out of the air. So that's the frustrating part watching like PCL, for example, is good players, but there's so many high balls. If they were like on the line reaching, the point's over, but they're letting that bounce a foot behind the kitchen line just to be able to hit a Tui dink. And I'm just like, the point's already over. It should already be over. So yeah.
You know what, Migo? That goes to show you who's been in Asia longer, because Rob's answer was a lot better than my answer.
I've just seen it, and I've just like, every point I'll sit beside Migo watching a game, and I'm just like, should have been out of the air. Should have been out of the air. Should have been, like, it's just, yeah. But I think, don't you think, James, that that's probably just because like the clips we see now are like, there's so many dinks off the bounce that are Tuis. But I think the difference between the U.S., like call it the high level PPA matches, if you're looking at like the quarterfinals on, is the dinks are still so good and so shallow that you're able to hit a Tui. They're not defaulting to the Tui. They're still on the line looking to take it out of the air and to attack if they can. But most of the dinks are just so much better than they are in Asia that they're just bouncing more because they're inside the kitchen line. In Asia, I see the dinks bouncing at the kitchen line or a little beyond, and I'm like, that's not going to happen in the U.S. Like, the pros in the U.S. are going to be taking that out of the air and actually doing something with it. So to me, it's like, if I'm an Asian player watching the U.S., it seems like, oh man, they're taking so many dinks off, you know, rolling and off Tuis. And they're only doing that though because the dinks are so good and they're so shallow. They're not letting balls bounce at the kitchen line.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's two different ways to do it. I think the way you should do it is you lean in, and then if you see that it's too shallow, then you put two hands on it and you go, and then you lean in and then you put two hands. Instead of
but it's
just
recovering and coming back, looking for that next ball out of the air. Because that's the whole point of hitting like a strong, aggressive, offensive dink, is so you do get the pop-up. Not just so they hit a soft dink back and you hit another Tui. Like, you're looking to take the ball out of the air and attack it and put it away. But you earn that by doing the Tui. But you got to come back each time. Hit, recover, come back to the line.
And you know what I would say, Migo, for your game? I'm assuming this is, you know, this is the first
already
way.
Already excited by the setup.
Last week, Jade's 13 last week. I showed me and Rob. I played a video of one of my matches. I played a tournament recently, and Rob just
it's turning into roast Migo. Go ahead, James.
Well, I would just say this, Migo. Like, the first thing to do, the first way to train that, because I had the same thing. I loved the Tui when I got started. I wasn't flicking anything. I had no flick. And then I developed a flick over a couple of years. The first one you want to do is, if you see that your opponent's paddle face is open, then you know you got to hug the line and lean in. Because if their paddle face is open, they're just going to slice the dink. They're not going to speed it up. So you can start off with that. Look at their paddle face. If it's open, you have to be right on the line. If it's not, then maybe at first it's okay if you're not fully on the line.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
I got good tips. You know, I used to have a podcast. I used to have my own coaching podcast.
You did a lot of episodes too. My God, did you ever?
Oh my God. I wanted to.
My God, dude.
Thank God that's over.
You were just,
I can just
dude,
imagine the South Creek studio banter. Each of you walking out back and forth after filming like 8 episodes.
I'd talk to James. I'd talk to James. He'd be like, yeah, I just have to record 7 episodes real quick. What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
I was doing in 2024. I did 70 clinics in different U.S. locations. I played pro and I did 52 podcasts, and it was not a lot of time for anything else. That's for sure.
But that's what I always respected, though, is because you truly love pickleball. You know what I mean? It's like you love the game, and like you could have easily just like gotten the contract, chilled, played, but I mean, you were out like bagging 3-0s and like doing 4 hours in a row of 3-and-me's. It's just like,
Yep.
dude, you were an animal. You're an animal. Put this to better use. And thank God you started a paddle company or did something, because the
I
amateurs
know.
out there couldn't just keep taking the bags, you know?
I know. I made a product that's going to help amateurs game as opposed to, just ruining their confidence with my.
Abusing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spending full bags. Oh my
Oh
goodness.
yeah. That's the best shot in the game.
Cool.
So speaking of developing the
That's a whole
3-0,
nother conversation.
speaking of
I've
developing,
got a, boys, I got a hop. I got a 10 o'clock, but you guys can keep the conversation going. Up to you.
Just the cool
Migo?
kids now, Migo. Yeah, let's get Rob
Yeah.
out of here.
All right. Later, boys.
the youngins. You know that new trend where like someone says their birthday and then it starts with a 19 and then they just flash the dinosaur.
Yeah, I'm not. I start with 2000.
Yeah, I think Rob's is
Too bad, man. Well, everybody has their time.
no. So you were talking about developing the sport, PCL and RPM. That's an interesting combo. So talk me through how that happened and why you chose to invest in something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I think it's definitely a good way for us to build our brand awareness in Asia, just to get people more familiar with the name RPM. Steve's a great guy. I think PCL is definitely something that I think it's growing, and I think it's really cool to be part of the Rising Stars thing, because I think there's so many young Asian players that are going to get really good. I'm going to be involved with it. I think in April I'm going to be going to the finals. I'm going to be coaching a team. That's going to be super fun. And yeah, I mean, we're obviously giving away a bunch of paddles, and I think it's definitely a good way to make sure that everybody has a chance to have a good paddle, because obviously paddles can be expensive. Not everybody has a chance, especially at that age, to get an elite level paddle. So this gives them that opportunity.
Yeah, it's gonna be really exciting. I'm gonna be running one. Well, me and Toby are gonna be running one of the legs here in the Philippines, and that's gonna be exciting. We're just hoping to get players from all across the country. Because usually what happens is mayors from local governments would sponsor, especially if the mayor plays pickleball themselves. So they'd sponsor a team. There'd be schools. There was a college tournament where they got students from the current colleges to play, but not a lot of good players joined, and it ended up with one college team training their tennis team for 2 weeks, and then they just sent them over. So that
That's
was
smart.
fun. It worked. It worked. They crushed everybody.
Really.
But I was busy running
Yeah.
PCL. I was not able to join to represent my school, unfortunately.
Yeah, bigger fish to fry from Migo. Gotta respect it. But yeah, I mean, I also kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about RPM's partnership with Toby Sports. We're super excited about that. I think, I had a great time in the Philippines. I'm looking forward to coming back. I think we're gonna have some cool exhibitions. I'll try to get Ryan Fu over. Maybe me and Ryan Fu can take on some of the top, local players. Maybe we take pickleball up down again. Maybe he gets revenge on us. We'll see. And or whatever the case may be, just some different ways to kind of just engage the community in the Philippines. There are already obviously a lot of people in the Philippines that play pickleball that are excited about it, but I think it's so early. I mean, there's still so many more people that haven't played that are going to play. And so I think for us to, get a partnership going, I think right now we're going to be in 20 locations, from what I could tell. Maybe I can make a stop at each one of those. I think, hopefully I can work on my jump shot. Last time I was missing some shots, unfortunately, at the last Toby Sports location. But yeah, and also Toby Sports is an awesome place. Like you go in there, they've got all the best products. Everything's pretty cool in there. And now they're gonna have the best paddle, the RPM paddle.
Yeah, don't tell Rob. Don't tell Rob. I did use RPM in my last tournament.
Let's
got it.
go. Let's go.
Made it to quarters, first time in advanced. I will take it.
Nice. Let's go.
But yeah, so I don't know. No, you don't have to talk about that. If you want to reveal what's in the pipeline for RPM, or is that gonna be announced? You want to announce some of that, or
I can
save that
talk a little
for.
bit. I can talk about, so we're gonna have a couple different things. So we're gonna be making pretty much everything. We're gonna have a backpack collab with ADV. They make really nice tennis backpacks, really nice pickleball backpacks. It's called ADV. So we're collaborating with them. Our bags and backpacks are gonna be available in 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It's gonna be super limited. There's only going to be a few hundred of them. So they're going to just kind of go within a week. Maybe most of them will be to our ambassadors. We're going to be making nets, but what people care about the most is the paddles. I think people are going to be really excited. So we have V2, we have Q2, that I can't really talk too much about. I will say that V2 is an upgrade from the Friction Pro slightly. It's an upgrade in a few different ways. I mean, the quality control is going to be perfect because I'm there watching them all get made. So I'm literally like making sure there aren't any mistakes, which I'm pretty good at doing because I'll just spend 9 hours at the factory. So those are going to be cool. But I think people in Asia and in the Philippines are really going to be interested in our mid-tier price point paddle because we have something called the T2 that's going to be coming out later in the spring, probably around like May, April, and it plays really well. It almost plays a little bit too well for a mid-tier price point paddle. I'm like, oh no, like are people just going to buy this instead of the Friction Pro? It's a full foam paddle. It's MPP foam in the center, surrounded by EVA foam. It's pretty high density EVA. It's going to be durable and it's going to play really, really well. And it's going to be $149. So I think that's about as good of a price point we can kind of give for that level of paddle. Yeah, that's going to be. It also looks pretty cool too because we know people in Asia love the pretty paddles. In the US, it's all about a good paddle. In Asia, it's all about the pretty stuff. So it's going to look pretty. Yeah, so I think people are going to be excited about that also.
Yeah. So that's gonna be exciting. Can't wait to try them. And also, we are gonna be having, well, Toby's is gonna be having a bunch of events throughout the year. So really hoping to have RPM and you involved. So I think I can give a preview. If I don't, it's his problem, not mine. So we have this PCL, which we're aiming to try and do the Philippine leg early March. So that's the first. And then with PCL, that's kind of like the highest level tournament that we run. Aside from that, we also run the team tournaments, which is the Super Series in collaboration with SM, which is the biggest malls in the Philippines. Like if you haven't been to the Philippines, the malls are different. You don't have to experience it firsthand. But we're planning to do around 4 of those. So those will have novice, intermediate, advanced, trying to just help develop all levels, give opportunity to everyone to compete. And then we may have another PCL near the end of the year, is the hope. The next 6 months starting March, after March, are gonna be really busy for me, but also excited to use it to help grow the sport here in the Philippines.
And Migo, are you planning to, so obviously you're really, integrated in pickleball to a big extent, obviously, with pretty much everything, it seems like. Commentating, are you training, are you planning on becoming like a professional level player or what are your pickleball goals? I'm genuinely curious.
Okay, it still feels very aspirational right now. 'Cause, I'm still in college. I still have school, and I'm also doing so much in the business side of pickleball that I don't have as much time as I would want to train. So it still feels very aspirational, but it is something that after I graduate, the time that I'm currently spending in school, I'm gonna spend a lot more on training. I just finished advanced, and actually the week after, I joined Open with, so like Open lost to one of the guys who got second in PCL last season. So I was not very close, but it showed me that it could be done. So I really, really am hoping that what? We're gonna aim high. This time next year, I will be competing consistently and winning matches in Open here in the Philippines.
It's definitely possible. I mean, it's something where you can in pickleball improvements can happen really quickly, where you just don't even necessarily realize it's happening until you look back, 2 months later and like, wow, like I got really better at this or that. And I think the reason for that is there's so many different shots in pickleball where, in tennis, for example, you've got a serve, a forehand, and a backhand. And nobody really comes to the net. Nobody really volleys in tennis. It's just those two shots. So
Yeah.
it's tougher to make like leaps and bounds in your improvement. But in pickleball, there's so many different things you can get better at. And I mean, for you, like if you're in school right now, it's funny because to get really good at pickleball, you only need, a couple, maybe 3 hard hours per day. Like you really train hard for 3 hours. Maybe you do, 45 minutes of fitness or an hour of fitness. That's all you really need. I mean, there's no pro that's really training for like 5 hours a day. It's actually not possible. Like you kind of start to build bad habits. I don't think it's possible to actually train with like full intensity for more than 3 hours a day. I stop myself after 2 or 3 because if you go for 5, you go for 6, you just start to naturally get a little lazy. You don't really practice properly. So yeah, I mean, I think if you work hard, you play with good players, you start beating up on Rob, which is probably going to be pretty easy, then I think you can definitely make it happen. So
Yeah, and I think I spend so much time around, people like you, people around Rob, people like Rob, that, and I watch so much pickleball that it's like improvement is not necessarily about, well, for me, I feel like I already have a good eye for the game. And it's frustrating because when I play, I know the mistakes I'm making in the moment. So like I'd hit the shot, and most people, they do a shadow swing and then they wipe their paddle. I'm like,
that's
I
what I
should
do.
I made the mistake 3 shots prior to me actually missing the shot.
Yep.
So it's something with like reps. I know something with reps, with time, with practice. I've been saying this myself for so long. I just need to get the reps in and the experience. Yeah, it's something that I've been getting better at. The level's slowly been increasing, but if I really want to get better, I do need to really get into those higher level runs, find people I can consistently drill with, which is still kind of difficult for me now. And just, yeah, the fitness thing, my dad's been on my ass about that for,
Yep.
he's been
Fitness
hyping
is key.
plyometrics.
Well, fitness is so important. Like before this episode, I just went and did like a super hard conditioning workout. And it's not just for your game, but it's also mental. Like the harder that you work in the gym, the better you feel, by the way. Like you just feel better on the court. It's just good for your mind. But it also, I think, helps for mental toughness. And I think it helps in long dinking rallies. Like as you get better, you're gonna be in long rallies, you're gonna be at 8-8, 9-9 in the third game. And it's like, you need to know that you're not going to be losing because you got too tired, and it's funny, like people will make these small mental mistakes when they play, like just because, not just because they make the wrong choice or they're not thinking enough, but because they're maybe not fully present. They start to get a little lazy. They start to think about something else. And you can kind of tell when you're like fully focused versus when you're not fully focused. It's kind of like a muscle. And the harder that you work in the gym, I think it actually helps build that muscle of just like really focusing, pushing through adversity. So I think doing hard fitness is key. Playing with players that are better than you is key. And then you're already covering. I mean, you're watching a lot of pickleball and you're surrounded with great players like Rob. So that part's easy, but you just have to make sure that you are in very good shape and that you're playing with a lot of good players. And then, getting better is going to happen by itself.
That's the hope. But yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's definitely been a goal of mine for a while now. But been getting caught up in the business side of it. But
Which is good
I'm
too.
not. I'm 21, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. You have some time. You definitely do, but you got to get on it soon because these young guys are getting good too.
That's true. I'm scared to watch the PCL Rising Stars. I was actually joking with Steve before they were while they were still ideating it. I was like, make it under 21. Make it 21 and under.
Yeah.
I'll join right now.
Yeah.
I'll train. I'll do. They wanted to stay under 19, so I'll just join the next one. I'll just join the open one.
Yeah, I'll be rooting for you and I'll be coaching you as long as you're using an RPM. You get free coaching from me.
No. But yeah, so I think just to end this, well, for the Philippine audience, because of course, with me being from the Philippines, we do have a large Philippine audience. When can we expect you back in the Philippines? We want to give you another tour, bring you to the malls, have people, because the Philippines, unlike, places like Vietnam, Malaysia, there hasn't been another pro that's shown up, done a big tour, especially a pro at your ranking, your standing. So when can we have you back?
I would love to come back. I mean, I had a great time in the Philippines. I think it just kind of depends on when Toby wants me back. He'll have to set it up. He'll tell me, "Hey, come at this time." And whenever that happens, I'm going to be wide open. Right now I'm in Florida, just kind of getting my stuff cleaned out and then I'm going straight back to Shenzhen in a couple weeks. I'll probably head back there right as Chinese New Year is ending. So that's like, just as March is getting started and then I'm good to go. The question of when I come back to the Philippines is just whenever whenever it's convenient for you guys. So you guys let me know. My WhatsApp messages are open and I'm ready. And
I think
also make sure, by the way, sorry guys, make sure to follow RPM Philippines on Instagram and Facebook. We had such a good time in the Philippines. We actually made our own separate RPM Philippines Instagram, RPM Philippines Facebook, and it's managed by people in the Philippines. My guy Jake, and a couple other guys, and they're making some great content. So yeah, make sure to follow them, and that's all. That's my only plug for the day. I'll leave it at that. I won't plug anything else.
no, but I think, and I'll try and convince the team. I think a perfect time to bring you back would be an RPM launch. We could do it in the flagship, the same store where you played basketball. Do a big event, invite people over. You do a paddle signing. I think it would be a great look for the brand to start us off.
For sure.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. Thanks for having me on the show. I think it's honestly, man, I think Rob, you might have to go. I think this is better without Rob.
we're getting a new Asia Pickleball Insider.
I think so. I think we got to move on. So, all right, man. Well, thanks for having me.
Of course, it was great having you, and just want to thank everyone for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with your friends if you found what you heard interesting. We'll be back again next week with another episode and signing off. That's it for this week's
Yes, sir.
episode of Asia Pickleball Insider powered by sportspredict.com. Thank you so much for